Good morning. I've been to the lumber yard and I have this load of wood. Today we're going to build the Oxford Adirondack chair. I'm going to give you all of the plans, all the drawings, all the layouts, all the assembly instructions free of charge. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Free is the way I'm going to do things in the future. I want to have fun and I want you to have fun. And I don't think buying a bunch of plans is a lot of fun. I'm a believer in the use of patterns for complex parts. It saves a lot of time. You only have to do the layout one time on a pattern and then you can repeat that easily with as many parts as you need to make. On the Oxford Adirondack chair, I've got a pattern for the leg. I've got a pattern for the armrest. I've got patterns for the back support. And there are 3 back slats and each one of those has a pattern. Anytime I see curves in a part, anytime I see a difficult layout, I'm tempted to use a pattern.
On the screen now is a layout for the cut pattern on 6 8-foot long 2x10s. Now don't panic, I'm going to give you these detailed drawings later. If you want to pause the video right now and just take a screenshot so you can get started, that's fine.
We're going to skip through all the cutting and sanding. You already know how to do that, and I'm about to give you the plans. So let's focus on assembly. Here are all the parts I need to make 2 chairs. They're ready to assemble. Now here's that download link I told you about for all the plans. You'll get a PDF file with all the drawings for all the fixtures, all the parts, and you'll get all the assembly instructions. The chair has 4 sub-assemblies: the left arm, the right arm, the seat, and the back. Let's start by making the arms. Here's a fully assembled left arm. It has an arm rest, a front leg, a support bracket for the front, and a support bracket for the rear. The arm will be assembled using 1/2-inch wooden dowels. And to make that easy, there's a pattern for the drilling of the arm and the legs and the supports. You'll find this in the drawing package when you download it. Let's take a quick moment to get ourselves oriented. There are 2 arms on each chair, a left arm and a right arm. The curved portion of the arm is the inside of the arm. The straight portion is the outside of the arm. When we drill the dowel holes to attach the legs and supports to these, the holes need to be on the bottom. So just keep that in mind. Holes on the bottom, inside, outside. When drilling the arms, don't drill more than 1/4 or 1/2 inch deep into the arm. We're going to take it over to the drill press and finish those holes there. The drilling fixture has 2 holes toward the inside, at the front and the rear. To drill an arm, I simply place the inside edge of the arm where those 2 holes are, clamp it in place and drill it. In this case, I'm drilling a right arm. If I want to drill a left arm, all I have to do is put the arm on the other side of the pattern, and now I'm drilling a left arm. With the arm clamped securely in place, now all I have to do is drill 5 holes. Now I can take this over to the drill press and finish drilling these holes to depth. I've set the drill press up to drill to 3/4 inch depth in each of the arms. So we can now drill those 5 holes in each arm. Now that the arm is drilled, we have to attach the rear bracket. It goes to the rear of the arm, and to drill those holes, we're going to go back to our pattern. We're going to put the rear bracket all the way to the rear of the pattern, aligning it flush to the back, clamp it in place, and drill those 2 holes. With the rear bracket holes drilled, we can now glue and insert the dowels into place and put the bracket into place. So we'll add some glue to these and we'll put that right there, glue it in place, and you can do that for all 4 arms. Now let's start working on this front leg and front support bracket. Just to keep everything aligned, I put the arm back on, drilled face up, put the pattern back on it so that all the holes align. And now that tells me how to attach the legs. The legs go on top like this and like this. To get them properly aligned, we've cut some small blocks. We have a C block that goes at the front. We have a D block that goes at the rear. And with the arm nestled in that, we put the E block in place, and that aligns the support bracket. That's how we'll manage to drill those holes in the right place. Now go back to your drawings for the front leg and you'll see a small hole toward the top. You need to locate that hole on each of your legs and go ahead and drill through a 1/8 inch pilot hole all the way through. I recommend you do that on the drill press. You want it straight. I've now clamped the leg in place to hold it straight while I drill the pilot hole. This is the 1/8 inch pilot hole that we drilled just a moment ago. I want it to go into the support bracket and I want it to be properly aligned. I simply take the support bracket, I hold it in place, and I drill through that pilot hole into the bracket. Now once we've done that, this leg now has a left side and a right side. You want it to always be aligned the way you drilled it, so be sure to mark both boards with which side is the mating side between the leg and the bracket. When we drill the hole for the wood dowel into the leg, we only want to drill 3/4 of an inch deep. We do not want to drill all the way through. Same for the bracket itself, 3/4 of an inch deep. This is what you should have now. 4 legs with the front support bracket attached to them, and 4 arms with the rear support bracket attached to them. It's time to attach the front leg to the arm. This time we'll be working with a right arm. You can see with the pegs where I've drilled the 3 holes, and the 3 holes in the pattern match, which means the leg will go on from above just like this. When that is drilled, then the hole in the leg will exactly match pegs in the arm. So let's attach the leg. We go back to our blocks. We need the C block. We need the D block. We put the leg in place. I'll clamp it there, flip it over, and drill the holes. Now that the leg is firmly clamped in place, all I have to do is begin drilling these 3 holes. Using my 1/2 inch Forstner bit. Now I can remove everything and I should be ready to finish the drilling. And there we have 3 pilot holes ready to go. I'll take this to the drill press and finish drilling these holes. When it's all glued up and finished, this is what you should have. 4 arms, complete with brackets on the front and the rear, and the front legs all attached. 2 left and 2 right. This is the back assembly for the chair. It consists of 5 back slats. We have a center back slat, we have 2 inner back slats, and 2 outer back slats. In the back, it's held together with 2 back supports. And of course, we'll fasten all this together using a 1.5 inch dowel, 1/2 inch diameter. The spacing between these slats is critical. The one you see here was done with a 1/4 inch spacing. You can make that smaller. It can be a 3/16, it can be a 1/4. Anywhere in that range is going to look fine, but you have to make it consistent. The spacing from top to bottom on every slat needs to be as close to perfect as you can get it, and I'm going to show you how I do that in just a moment. This is the fixture we use to assemble the back. The parts are clamped in place so that every time we get a good, consistent, repeatable build. We want the back to be straight, we want it to be clean, we don't want any variations in the gaps, and this fixture is the way we accomplish that. The drawings for this are in the package that's included with the other things that I gave you. The other thing you'll need for this assembly is a spacer, and this is what controls the gap between the back slats. This particular one is 1/4 of an inch. I just made it out of a piece of scrap here in the shop. You can make it, as I said earlier, whatever thickness you want it to be, from 3/16 to 1/4. This is an assembled back. It's on the fixture the way it's going to be, and I wanted you to see it completely put together. We're going to take it apart piece by piece so you can see how to use this fixture. Before we begin, we need to establish some center lines. On the fixture, carefully locate the center of the bottom stop and the top cleat. Mark them both. Now on the center back slat, locate the center of the front side and mark it at the bottom end. Your pattern for the center slat should have 2 locator holes at 5/8 and 15 5/8 inches from the bottom. Clamp the pattern to the back side of the center slat and mark those 2 holes. Then take the back slat to the drill press and drill 1/2 inch diameter holes 3/4 inch deep at each mark. Find 2 back supports and mark the center of each. Clamp the back supports into the fixture as shown, making sure to align the center of the supports to the center of the fixture. On the center back slat, insert a dowel center locator into each of the 1/2 inch diameter holes. Place the back slat front side up on the fixture. Carefully align the bottom center of the back slat to the center of the fixture stop. Square the back slat to the fixture stop, then use a wood mallet to tap the back slat. This places a dowel locating mark on each of the back supports. If you find it difficult to align the top end of the slat, you can clamp a scrap piece to the top back support so that when you drop the back slat in place, the scrap aligns the back slat for you. Take the back supports to the drill press and drill each of those marks with a 1/2 inch diameter hole 3/4 inches deep. Clamp the back supports in place on the fixture. Now add glue and a wooden dowel to each hole in the back slat, then glue the exposed end of the dowel into the back supports. Clamp them in place while the glue sets. Use the center back slat to align the remaining inner and outer back slats. Working from the inside out, locate the dowel holes on the back of each slat and drill the 1/2 inch diameter holes 3/4 inches deep. Insert dowel center locators in these holes and use a spacer to assure the proper gap between slats. Now mark the back support. Drill the 1/2 inch holes in the back support 3/4 inches deep. Be sure the hole is drilled perpendicular to the back support because the angle changes as you work toward the outside. Glue the back slats in place, clamp them while the glue sets, and repeat for each back slat. Here's what your finished chair back should look like. It's time to assemble the seat. The components are the front stretcher, 2 lower legs, 7 standard seat slats, and 1 rear seat slat. This is the seat assembly fixture, and this is what the seat looks like fully assembled. But before we begin, there is one critical dimension you need to check. When the back is installed, the back support fits between the legs. That dimension is 19.5 inches. So double check it, make sure you've got that set correctly. We start by attaching the legs to the fixture. Now I have 2 chairs I'm building, so I've labeled them Chair A and Chair B, and I've labeled the legs as A right and A left, just to help me keep it all straight. Here's how you mount the leg to the fixture. You put it down on the fixture, You align these front edges flush on the fixture, front edge flush, and then you just clamp them in place. There are 7 standard seat slats for each chair, and each slat needs 2 dowel holes drilled. These holes are drilled in the center of the slat, 5/8 of an inch from the end. To assist in drilling these holes, I've set up 2 stop blocks on my drill press. So now go ahead and drill all 7 seat slats at both ends, and remember it's a 1/2 inch hole, 3/4 of an inch deep, drilled in the bottom of the slat. Now back at the fixture, clamp a stop block to the outside of one of the legs. This will help us align each seat slat as we put it in place. The first slat to be put in place is the front one. Position it 1/8 of an inch from the end of the leg. Mark it with your dowel center locator. Drill the holes, add glue and plugs, and clamp it in place. The seat slats are all spaced 1/8 of an inch. To accommodate that, I made a simple spacer over on the table saw. Now hold that spacer in place. Align the slat to it and be sure to move it flush against the stop block on the right. Hold it in place. Mark the spot for the dowel holes. Now drill the dowel holes, add glue and dowels, and clamp it all in place. Then repeat that for the remaining 5 slats. Now on the rear seat slat, mark the location for the dowel holes at each end and drill them. Install the rear seat slat using the same procedure that you used on all the other 7 slats. Let's have another look at the seat design. The stretcher top is flush with the top of the front seat slat, and the stretcher end is flush with the outside of the front leg. We'll use these 2 features to help us locate the stretcher so we can assemble it. I cut a small block, 1 1/4 inches wide, and I'll clamp that to the end of the stretcher. That will act as a spacer that's the same thickness as the leg. Now when I hold the stretcher up to the seat assembly, all I have to do is place that block against the leg, hold the top flush to the top of the front seat slat, and tap to mark those 2 dowel locations. Now just drill the dowel holes, glue everything in place, and clamp it. And that's it, you're through with the seat assembly. For each chair, you should have a left arm, a right arm, a seat, and a back. So let's put them together. The distance from the floor to the bottom of the front stretcher is 11 inches. From your scrap pile, retrieve some small sticks and cut 2 spacers, each 11 inches long. Clamp them to the front of the front leg, aligning the bottom of the leg to the end of the spacer. This spacer can now be used to support the bottom of the front stretcher while the leg is attached to the seat assembly. Level the arm and clamp the front leg to the lower leg. Place a mark on the front leg about 1.5 inches below the bottom of the front slat and in the center of the leg. At that mark, drill a 3/8 inch hole through the front and the lower leg. Insert a carriage bolt, 5/16 diameter, 3 inches long, into the hole, and then add the flat washer and nut. Just get the nut snug. It's not necessary to do your final tightening just yet. Now about 2 inches below that bolt, mark another spot, and this time drill it with a 5/16 inch bit. Check one more time to make sure the arm is level and then securely tighten both bolts. Repeat the process for the other arm. Place the chair on its side. The back will be mounted using a 5/16 lag bolt through the leg and into the lower back support. Using the dimensions shown here, drill a 5/16 hole through the lower leg. Don't drill into the back support. Position the back so that the top of the lower back support is 1/4 inch below the top of the lower leg. The back slats should be in contact with the rear seat slat. With the lower seat slat in place, finish drilling that hole using a 3/16 bit to a depth of 3 inches. Now insert the lag bolt with a flat washer and tighten it in place. Now repeat the process on the other leg. The seat back meets the lower leg at an angle of 90 degrees. With the angle set, drill a 5/16 hole through the rear bracket and a 3/16 hole into the back support, finishing to a depth of 3 inches. Now insert another lag bolt and washer, tighten it down, and repeat for the other side. Congratulations! The chair is now fully assembled. You still have some touch-up and some painting to do. I recommend you take the chair apart to do all the final touch-up and painting. Just remove those 4 lag screws, remove those 4 carriage bolts, and you'll have everything in 4 pieces, easy to handle, easy to maintain, and you can put it back together anytime you want to. Enjoy your new chair.